It's not you, it's me. It's just the way things are gonna be. The way- Welcome back. Hey, does that feel better?
Trip around the chair.
We're glad you took it. Thanks for taking us on that magical carpet ride.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to do.
Are you saying we're out of our bag of tricks is empty, and that was
Well, no, the end of that was sometimes there's nothing left to do, but be exceptional.
well, thank you for that. Then
Yeah.
that was.
I'm probably my biggest fan. Like, of all the people I know, like, if I took a straw poll, what do you think about me?
I like me the most.
10 too low.
You're okay. Yeah.
10 too low.
You and yourself in a room. You, yourself, and I. Just three friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm gonna crack into that. Oh. Ooh.
I love that movie.
Hey, welcome to the Center and Saint podcast with Ben and Patrick, where we discuss the best and the worst of life. What's going on out there? We start each podcast with a spirit. We jump into conversations of our life around the Center and Saint, and then we close out with a spirit, which is kind of a benediction that captures all of the thoughts on life. And if you're watching us on video, you're seeing Ben's animated antics, and if you're not, you're just catching me laugh pretty heavily, make bad sounds in the microphone. So with that, Ben's going to let me fly solo on this, but I'm going to have my buddy Eddie help us out.
You hear the
Oh, Eddie. He took voice lessons in college, decided the space for him was behind the bar.
Eddie studies it. Oh, it's all straight in.
Hey, welcome to Center and Saint
Podcast.
We're
talking about all things
Bermuda
grass is really
coming
in. Look out for the zoysia grass, though. If it gets under about 65 degrees, that'll yellow right out. Welcome to Podcast.
That's what we're doing, and we're going to start with a drink. Ben, what are we drinking here?
Oh, this is Patrick's very, very favorite drink.
Ben hates me. He likes to torture me.
It is a gin and tonic. It's just gin and tonic water.
Whole episode.
I'll drink yours if you want. Oh, gosh, that's delightful.
It is not.
That is wonderful. You really get the cucumber out of that. Yeah.
Thanks for hating me, Ben.
Yep. Happy to. Speaking of hate,
we're going to talk about my Amy, this is for you. This is going out to Amy. She has been dying to be mentioned on this podcast. This is the highlight of your day.
All about you, Amy.
Why don't you talk about your family more? Which means, why don't you talk about me more? I should be the focal point of the podcast.
Oh my gosh, Amy.
So I'm gonna talk about all the center saint moments of my sister's life today. The saint moments are gonna be pretty short, fairly short. We'll be able to cover those rather rapidly.
And
she's able to advocate for herself.
I don't know you, Amy, but I'm willing to drive the bus that will cripple you.
We're steamrolling you in the hardest way with a drink I hate, which is only going to make me angrier. I do not understand the gin and tonic.
It's because you hate your sister. And we're going to talk about her today. And so I wanted to get you good and fueled up with just a mouthful of sass. And that way, I hope you video people can see.
You're like,
he is punished.
Right,
every drink is an individual punishment for him.
The flavor in my throat is not. It's not.
No, dude, the flavor in your throat is the flavor of science. We've talked about it.
It's not good, man. It is not good. Come on, Bill Nye.
No. I am really sorry your sister sucks, because my sister's delightful. Other than the one time on this podcast I called her a rat, like she eats the garbage.
I have a great relationship with my brother and sister, so let me start there.
Liar.
That's right. Here's my but my sister is my sister.
My sister is
Freudian slip. She is the oldest, which means she demands and
she's the worst.
Her here first. She expects the spotlight to be on her and for her light to shine the brightest of all of us, which I don't give a flying flip, but she does. So everything's a competition when it comes to Amy on anything. Which
you hear that, Amy?
Which is fine.
You listening, Amy?
Which is fine. That's whatever. My sister was my best friend growing up. We were very close until she went to college. That separation, it was hard. Like I remember the summer she left. Like I like bawled because I was like, can I continue?
That's how you went bald?
That's how I went bald.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Amy. You made him bald too.
Thanks.
Wow.
No, cried emotionally. I was not ready for that separation.
What's the age gap?
3 years. 3 years between she and I, and 3 years between my brother.
And he's the youngest.
And I hated him growing up, and then he and I had a great relationship when I went to college. Which is all due to him being gracious with me.
Yeah.
So we do have a good relationship, the three of us.
Okay.
But boy, she wants to be the focal point of this podcast.
Why?
Look,
I'm gonna say I've got this friend. His name's Patrick, and he has
sounds amazing.
Yeah, he's something. He had aspirations to start a podcast.
I did.
And invited me to. No, this isn't you.
No, I love this guy. Yeah, I love this guy. Yeah. Sorry.
And he invited me to be part of that space. And I'll be honest, jury's still out on me. But my advice to Amy, are you listening? Amy, are you listening? Because my advice.
She's listened to all the episodes.
Oh, I know.
I've listened to everything.
I know. My advice to her is maybe start your own podcast. If you want to live
all
in
things Amy.
World, maybe start your own podcast.
You thought it was the sun, but the world revolves around me, baby.
Yeah, your brother can walk you through it. He'll teach you how to do it. My sister has flat out said she does not listen to this podcast.
That's okay. Good. Let's really get her. Then.
And it was definitely I tried, and I don't know what you guys are trying to do. And my reply was, I don't think I do either.
Well,
and so
we've had that. People they have expectations of a podcast, which is not what I thought it was. I'm not a podcaster. You are.
Yeah.
And I get there are news resources out there that have podcasts, and that's a way to relay that. One reason I'm not a podcast because I don't have a commute.
Sure.
Maybe if I had a commute, I would fill that time with a podcast series. But that's not what I want to listen to when I'm just doing menial labor and work around my house.
One of the things
including our podcast. So I'm not biased. I'm not like, our podcast is really the best. Nope. Even our podcast, I'm like, nope, that's not what I listen to in my downtime.
No, and I'll be honest, center moment, I have stopped listening to our podcast.
I picked that up a few episodes ago that you're just like, I'm done with you.
No, I'm not done with you. I just stopped listening to the podcast because I still do the quality, but then when it drops, I'm like, we have time for that.
We're exhausted.
Here's why we're different, and here's why I don't.
You're like, here's why we're different, and here's why it doesn't work as a podcast.
Well, here's why I think people think it doesn't work as a podcast is because every single podcast has structure.
Yeah.
Like there is a
format. There's a format that they use, and ours is super loose.
They follow. We have no format other than the fact that once in a while we talk about center and state moments. But really, other than that, we just sit and shoot the breeze or chew the fat, or you can insert a curse word here if you like. We're not going to.
I usually do that. You usually stay away from it.
Well, now you should hear me off the air.
Well, I know I have, but you're on the podcast. You do a good job of hating yourself, and I do not. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better.
because I want to reach a bigger audience. If we're going to do this, I don't want to do it for nothing.
Oh.
Like, let's reach a bigger audience. 8 countries listen to us.
8, that's right.
Thank you very much.
35 routine listeners.
But yeah, so your sister sucks, you say?
Well,
I can see your house from here.
She's just special.
Now, is she Valentine's Day special, or is she, I'm sorry my son ate your shoes, is special?
She's just,
I'm sorry
she's
my
just
son
special.
ate your shoes.
She's in a new relationship, and this is fun. Rick's gonna get drug into this. Sorry, Rick. Or not sorry. Actually, it's kind of fun.
Rick doesn't listen.
No. But I certainly blab to Rick about everything that goes on in her life.
Patrick talked about you on the podcast.
He's really big into RCs.
What's RC Polo?
Remote control cars. And that's pretty fun. Like, they're too expensive for my taste, but they've got easily 20 remote control cars, and that's one of the things they go do is go zoom on the vroom vrooms.
All I want to do is zoom on my vroom vroom.
Just now shake your rope.
No, shake your drive the car.
Like where I went with that.
You want PC-16 on this one.
But they have like, I love RC cars. Like, that was my big ask for Christmas when I was 8.
I always got the one with the cord.
But I had a really nice one. I had a 55 Chevy that I got, and then the 9 ACV whatever unique battery that they had died, and it was like $30 to replace, and it's 10 years old. I didn't have the income.
Nobody had that capital, man.
No. Yeah.
Nobody had that capital.
But it was the coolest car.
Well, that probably means that Rick's the coolest future and brother-in-law you're gonna have.
It's kind of what I'm aspiring to be when I'm.
You want to be Rick?
I want to have remote control cars when I'm retired.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, that's gonna be my.
Are you being serious or sardonic?
No, a little bit serious. But I'm not gonna buy them. Yeah. So a little sardonic.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Like, I've seen the YouTube videos on like RC races. I'm like, I could not drive a car that fast, that quickly. Like, these cars go 60 miles an hour. Crazy. And they go through these races with hills and jumps and.
I'll be honest. I strive to be respectful in all aspects of life, but I sincerely can't think of a topic I am less interested in on all the 32 shows we've done. And
I don't think Amy and Rick go on RC races. Maybe they do. I don't know. But I just think RC cars are fun.
But you know what? So talking about sisters, talking about all of that, I like true to form. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, raises pigeons, show pigeons. I didn't even know there was such a.
Is that a step up from carrier? It's like carrier, the working class, and then show pigeons is like the Paris Hilton of pigeonry.
Pigeonry has to be.
Yeah,
has to be. Mm-hmm. And I am now implementing pigeonry.
I'm a show pigeon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they do.
You got to catch that on video of what that is.
Now they did. They had some bird flu come through and wipe out like half the pigeons. So like talking to my sister one day, I'm like, how things going? You're not rough. It's been hard. Oh, well, what's going on? Rick's lost 70 pigeons.
70 pigeons. Okay.
He's not a low-key pigeon dude.
No, like when you said...
He's a high-octane pigeon dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you said show pigeons, I thought, okay, what do you
got 6 or 8 pigeons.
What do you have, like 5, maybe 12 pigeons that you train to walk down the catwalk? And I do.
And I want to say, yeah, on the pigeon walk, on the pigeon walk.
Give him the bird. That's the thing.
And that's your mother on the pigeon walk. Yeah, like, but I'm talking to her on like a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Check out the breast on that pigeon. Wow.
Like, he's got a pigeon Mick Jaggering it down the little, like, roost pole. And
7.
Yeah.
They lost 70, which means they
yeah,
have
a
more
lot
than
of
70 to...
So when my family,
What
when my siblings and I used to exchange gifts,
Gin and Tonic is disgusting.
we stopped that for a while. We don't exchange gifts anymore. But when we did, like getting Rick a gift card to Birds Unlimited was like gold.
What?
Cause it'd
What?
Be like, there's,
Say more.
There's. You remember where the BD's Mongolian Grill used to be in Clearwater on 86?
No.
That's now a Birds Unlimited. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah. You know what, Jim? What was Amy's guy's name? Jim?
Rick.
Wait. No, that's my sister's husband is Rick.
Yeah. Well, our families are more. I think they're pretty much the same. They're just there's some.
I could have swore his name was not Rick 4 minutes ago.
It was Rick 4 minutes ago.
Amy dating Rick, who likes RC cars.
And is a pigeon farmer.
Roll the tape.
Yeah.
No, that's my sister's husband is Rick.
No, that's my sister's partner. We are, and our moms are the same.
Rick and Jen.
Shout out to Kay. Go get him, Kay.
Kay's got a sleeve like she wears on her chest, but when daddy gets home, he never gets no rest. The accordion. You know, I plays the accordion.
Did he wrote for her? You wrote that song?
No, the Who wrote that song. And the music's all right. Kay's got a sleeve like Mike, never sleeps at night. You're welcome for that, Amy.
Oh boy. Matthew, you're welcome that we're not dragging you into this cesspool of familial.
Oh, Matthew turned this off. Matthew's like, I can't.
I don't know if I've never asked. I don't know if my brother and I have ever talked about the podcast. I don't think he knows it exists.
I've got 2 brothers in addition to the sister that I have who's married to the pigeon guy. It's fine. They don't listen. Who cares? I can say all the things.
Wow. Do you eat pigeon eggs? Can you like I've had duck eggs and goose eggs.
Quail eggs.
I assume you can have pigeon eggs. I assume they're smaller than a chicken egg. Duck eggs are surprisingly bigger than chicken eggs. I would have assumed them to be smaller, but they're not.
Okay. Well, they have a bigger tube that comes out of it.
More.
The girth of the tube expands more than a chicken.
Well, the duck penis is corkscrew.
Yeah, counterclockwise. Yeah, counterclockwise.
Whatever, it's still a corkscrew.
Yeah.
But the possum penis is forked.
Well, because they flash for that action. Yeah. Why do you think they grew a marsupial pouch? Double the power, double the baby. As they say in the possum world.
Is that what they say?
Yeah. Double the power, double the baby. But you gotta have a pouch in there.
Do they fake it though? I hear they fake it.
The possums?
Yeah.
Well, now
I hear it's not real.
Now this might surprise you. I'm not a possumeer, so I don't study the possum. So, but there are possumeers out there who study the possum.
I feel like I'm a possumist.
You're a possumist? They're not possumists. They're possumeers.
No, a possumist. Yeah, it's possumist.
No.
I have a possum story. When the kids
I guess
were younger,
Amy.
well, we're going to come back to that. But since we've gotten to the possum category.
Why is your podcast not about me, Patrick?
When our kids were toddlers, we had a playground set outside, and we had a dog. Kana, she was a white Siberian Husky, great dog. We've had great dogs in our history as a family. But anyway, Kenny had to bring Kana in one night because she was barking at a possum that was underneath the kids' playground. Mm-hmm. And so my wife,
living under the playground,
she said, you need to go remove the possum that's underneath the playground before the kids go outside and play on the playground tomorrow.
Okay.
And I said,
I think this stuff on my thing.
Oh.
That's what Jen does, gang. You're telling the story.
I'm just trying to get through.
So there was a possum under your children's playground?
There was. And my wife's like, you need to remove, there's a dead possum under the kids' playground that Tina wouldn't come in for, and you need to remove it tomorrow before they go outside. And I said, is there a chance that it was just plain dead? And she said, they're not that good.
They're not that good.
And I said, okay.
I poked it with a stick.
And I went out to remove the possum, and the possum wasn't there. that one was that good.
And the Oscar goes to click, click, click. Noblesville Possum. Again. 3rd Oscar in a row. Well done, Noblesville Possum. Wonderful show.
That was also when we lived next to what our because Ryan was a great neighbor, lived behind us, and he was very kind. But we'd be like, oh, the neighbor. And at the time, they were watching Mr. Rogers on PBS. Okay. And so anytime we talk about the neighbor, they'd say, is that neighbor Rogers? And we're like, yes, he is. Mm-hmm. And so anytime they saw me out talking to neighbor Rogers, their neighbor, they would be like, how's neighbor Rogers doing? And we're like, he's doing fine. Excellent.
I have a possum story that goes in a more center direction.
Stories. Sinister and dark.
Oh, actually, I've got two pretty stories. One, you know what? One paints me in a pretty poor light.
We'll be dodging a bullet by the possum story. Possums came in to save her.
Let's omit that one. So when I was in high school, this was great. I went to high school with these two guys. They were brothers, and Craig and Joel. And we grew up in the country, and it might be a little family unfriendly. But
go give the kids a snack.
Give
them some gummy bears.
Just hit forward twice. Go a minute in advance. So I grew up in the country where in the winter there weren't a lot of things to do other than really kind of underage drink and abuse things. Not like people, but like recreational drugs and things like that. So I grew up with these two brothers who were in constant competition with each other. And it was just like you knew they really liked and loved each other, but it was also sibling rivalry to the
Oh yeah. There's a pecking order.
Yeah. And they were 1 grade apart, so they were really close in age. And they were the only 2 boys of their family. They were the only 2 kids of their family.
Sure.
So walking down the hall one day, Joel was bragging to one of his buddies, I could grab a buck by the horns and pin it like it. They were both wrestlers. Ooh. And Craig's like, no, you couldn't. So it escalates to somehow Joel gaslights Craig into this challenge. So I grew up in the country where there was this really big valley where a river 100 years ago that was the size of the Ohio had whittled down to still a substantial river, but that valley was really fertile farmland. So some of our friends lived along that valley. So one Saturday night we get a little tipped up, and we go to find some deer because challenge is on. Craig has to find a buck, grab it by the horns.
I had my takeaway.
And pin it.
Okay.
So safety first. We got a plastic Colt helmet for him, and he wore that. So we got spotlights. We're spotlighting deer, and we find 30, 40 deer in the valley.
All right.
We spotlight them. We got all the eyes. We're good to go. Craig's like, I'm going to sneak up the riverbank, and I'm going to flank them, and I'll grab one in the back.
All right.
I'm like, okay, Craig, go for it. And somewhere a video of this is, but it was a camcorder video, because we're
right back in the day.
It's the 90s.
Analog kids.
Yeah. And so we see the spotlight, 35 deer go running. And then this tiny little Colt helmet goes running behind it. And we're like, he's not even close.
He's not even
He is like 70 yards behind the deer, but he's running so fast. He's running as hard as he can. But he gets so amped up on this, like, my brother.
I have to do this.
Do this. He's walking back and finds a possum. So he just grabs the possum with his bare hands. Possum plays dead.
Drops dead.
Like, I'm caught. And so you get this Dumb and Dumber moment of he walks back up to the camera with snot, because it's like November. He's got snot caked down his lip and this possum, and he's like, hey, I couldn't get the deer, but I found this possum. And ever since then, we called Craig Possum. Like, he earned that nickname.
I'm glad he didn't catch the deer, because that deer would have messed him up.
We didn't know that back then. Oh, they would have absolutely annihilated him. And get on their back and whip it down. And
125 pounds.
No, Craig was probably 170.
No, the deer.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Amy's 125 pounds.
Amy is your sister?
In her prime.
Oh. She's a sturdy girl. She's a sturdy gal these days. Yeah.
Well, she's in Missouri. we're not called the Show Me State for no reason at all.
Amy, shame on you, or show me on you. Amy, wow.
She's loving this, by the way.
You wanted a podcast all about you.
We can talk positively or negatively about Amy. It doesn't matter. As long as we're saying Amy, she's like, serotonin hit.
It's all about you.
They love me.
It's the Amy Show. Hi, guys.
All things Amy.
Hi, guys. It's the Amy Show.
It could also be the chapter of my childhood. The entire 15 years before she went to college.
My sister, did your sister babysit you? Like, did she get to an age where your mom and dad were like, we're going to go square dancing as they like to do?
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, Amy's going to watch you.
Yeah, and that usually resulted in her talking about how we didn't behave, which usually meant we had Mr. Paddle growing up. He was a resident in our household.
Yeah.
And
I like homehold.
But he was probably a 30-inch, 36-inch maybe piece of oak that was carved out.
Nice.
And it was used as an instrument of correction.
Wasn't a paddle. Was an instrument of correction.
And when Amy and I thought we were old enough, because my younger brother was a little bit of he
Scallywag.
He found trouble. He and I both found trouble on our own. But when we thought we were beyond the oak instrument of persuasion,
correction.
He was correction. He was often referred to as Mr. Paddle, and so we took a Sharpie marker and helped to
implement
that. And wrote Mr. Paddle. And he didn't have a place that he resided. He would float around the house because instrument of correction was needed in different places of the home.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always our job to find Mr. Paddle before the correction began.
Oh, heck yeah.
Which was part of it was like a scavenger hunt. Yeah. It was terrifying before the excitement began.
Yeah.
And so we thought it was really funny when Matthew had to go find the instrument of correction, Mr. Paddle.
Yeah.
And he found it with smiley face, angry face. I think it had angry face. I think we drew a couple of angry faces and then Mr. Paddle down it.
Yeah.
And my mother was like, "And where is it?" And he's like, this is not.
I lost it. I don't know.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Garbage didn't pick it up, I can promise.
And then Mom was given Mr. Paddle, and she laughed, and correction was not issued, and we were like, didn't work out at all the way that we.
Somehow I got checkmated on that. I thought it was
unfortunate,
and somehow I got checkmated. This didn't work out at all. My sister babysat us, and we were not Star Trek kids, but we somehow knew the word Vulcan, and which I guess Spock was Vulcan.
Sure.
And may I touch your face? This is a weird thing, but I got to show you in a non-painful way. Okay. My sister's babysitting tactic when we did not behave was to grab us right here by the bottom jaw with thumb and forefinger, and those of you that can't see, I grabbed him by the bottom jaw, thumb and forefinger, and squeezed. And somehow it just neutralized us. And it was the most painful thing, and it super sucked. And then we realized, well, if she does that, she has to get us on our back so kicks to the ribs are open.
Oh, yeah.
And we would just rib her out, man. But it was so painful, like sometimes you forgot the retaliatory move. And oh, man. And we still joke about it to this day, the Vulcan death grip that my sister used as like a means of correction for babysitting.
Yeah, my sister just left that to Mr. Paddle and was willing to record all elements of correction that were necessary at that point. So.
Now, my mom had several corrective tools.
Oh, my dad did. Yeah. But Mom's was Mr. Paddle. Dad would use.
Dad was a butcher. Okay. Dad had lots of corrective tools. One was a cleaver.
Yep.
One was a ribbing knife.
No. Dad knew anything. A belt.
Yeah.
Belt, hand, oof.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember the last time my mom
get a switch.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh yeah. And you try to get dead limb, and then you'd be like, no, they wanted the lively green one that could really dominate.
Yeah.
The last time my mom never used the device of correction was, oh man, I was probably middle school, maybe late grade school.
Wow, early.
And well, because
nice job.
You'll see what happens. I shamed her into never touching me again.
Well, I didn't have to my junior year, so I'll go first.
So
these moments.
I was making, it was summertime. I was making Kool-Aid. So I've got the pitcher, the water's pouring into the pitcher, and I've got the wooden spoon next to the sink to stir it when I'm done. I went to put something in the dishwasher, and in her defense, I had been told numerous times, do not kick the dishwasher door shut. But time was a factor.
That's what you do.
Time was a factor.
I still kick the dishwasher door shut.
Actually, I'm not allowed to touch my dishwasher at home, but that's a different story. So
Darlene doesn't let you touch it?
The dishwasher. I see what you did there. Oh, that was pretty funny. Thank God she doesn't listen. I'll be honest with you, there would be a miniature pincher at your door the day that they're ready to tear you down, good sir.
That was good. That felt good.
That was beautifully designed. Guys, that's the best joke in this podcast history.
We're done.
Good night now. Good night now.
Sorry, Amy.
Amy, let's shove it. So I throw something in the dishwasher. I kick the rack in. I kick the door shut. And by the time I do that, my mom, who's also in the kitchen, has that wooden spoon just right down the back of my leg.
Wow.
So I'm young enough. I'm still allowed to wear shorts to church. This happens on Saturday.
I don't know what that world looks like. That was never an option.
Well, it was the late 80s.
Wow. Indiana was a different world than Missouri.
Well, Reagan was president. Springsteen was king. So, I went to church the next day, and I went to the deacons because I knew who the deacons were because they were the dudes who were old and wore suits. And they'd be like, "Hey, how are you?" I'd be like, "Look what mom did."
What?
Look what mom did. Look what mom did. So my mom got
a hearing with the deacons.
Yeah, my mom got a talking to about child abuse from the church because it was just like wooden spoon welts.
Wow.
It looked like I had done cupping down my leg. And they were just like, "Oh, that's anger. Like, that can't be good." And I'm like, "Yeah, look what mom did. Look what mom did." And then I never got hit again. Well, I got hit in the face, but I never got hit in the legs.
So that would have been the last attempt at disciplinary action from my mother my junior year. My junior year was contentious with my mother. I swooned over a girl named Kelly, and she was everything my junior year. She consumed my thoughts my junior year, and she came from a great family. She was a great Christian. And I swore off, I won't date any girls in my high school because we lived in a small hometown, and I knew I was a horny toad, and I was like, that's just not a good thing, and so I'm gonna steer, which is not what my sister did. She took another route, but anyway. That's
Amy, eat it.
That's the route I took.
It's the Amy episode.
So just to make sure we understand what this is about.
Wait.
This is all about you, Amy.
Risky business?
Oh, boy. Yeah. Anyway. So, but my mom hated Kelly because she came over once in our first date, and she didn't thank my mom for having her over.
Okay.
It was a double date with Kelly and my best friend Brian and his girlfriend Jamie, who was also a good friend of mine, and we attempted to rent a VHS, and it was late on Friday, and the best movie that we could rent was something about American Quilt, which I vaguely remember.
What can we make out to? American Quilt.
It was a train wreck night. It was a train wreck. Yes. But my mom hated her. But that was,
wow.
That's all I wanted to do my junior year. She was my focal point. I was driving. I had some level of independence. And I remember my mom attempted to slap me one night, and I grabbed her hand. And she's like, "You don't grab my hand." And I said, You don't slap me.
That's really funny because mine was 7th or 8th grade. I had hit my growth spurt. My mom's 5'2".
Okay.
I had hit my growth spurt, and my mom's a hitter.
Okay.
And so it's just she's a hitter from a long line of hitters.
Parenting in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, it was really different.
We on the
podcast. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. It worked. Like,
I deserved it. There's an Indian
yeah.
proverb that says, spank your kid every night, even if you don't know why, because they know why.
Oh,
quick
and it's
sidebar.
It was like, quick sidebar. I went to college with a dude whose dad, in like the 5th grade, washed his mouth out with soap.
My mom loved that.
No, I did.
Cuss words and lying was
I was a regular soap washer.
Everything else was Mr. Paddle.
Yeah. But he didn't do anything wrong. And his dad did it, and he's like, why are you doing this? He goes, because when you cuss or when you lie, this will happen again. And he's like, dude, that worked.
Yeah.
He's like, I was on the straight and narrow because that was brutal. My mom was a hitter from a long line of hitters. And our mom's the same. Our sister's the same. Yeah. The day that we put I did my water because the Gin and Tonic. My mom hit me in the face, and I started laughing. Yeah. That just fueled that Irish rage. Yeah. So she doubled down, and she came back, both hands. And I kept laughing. And she did not care for that. So go to your room until my stepdad gets home. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I went to my room. And he was like, he's a gentle giant. Yeah. Okay. Like, dude's just gentle giant. Which is typically my dad, but when he was not, he had green eyes, and we still call it. We're like, when Dad hulks out, like you pushed it too far. Yeah. Like when the Hulk shows up, you're like, oh no. Pop was always a gentle giant. He comes up to my room, and he's like, your mom tells me there was some trouble today. And I was like, mm-hmm. He's like, what happened? And I go, I was mouthing off and she hit me. And he's like, well, the problem is that you were laughing at me. And I was like, yeah, because it's the first time I realized I'm so much taller than her. He was like, really? And I go, yeah, like we were face to face, but she was here. Yeah, yeah. So like it's this tiny little thing hitting me, and it doesn't hurt. Like I've been hit in the face. Yeah. Like these hard Irish slaps aren't anything. And I was just like, yeah, she can't throw a punch, man. Like I don't know what to tell you. She sucks at hitting. And that was the day it like completely undermined her authority because then she realized, ooh, I'm too tiny and weak to actually inflict pain. To do it, yeah. And so then it was just like, oh, I've lost. I've lost. And like Pop never hit me. Pop was never a hitter. He's probably a pacifist, even though he has lots of guns because he's built them. But I mean, like muzzle loader. Yeah. No, Dad could do his worst, so that's where we're different. Dad could make it happen. He could make a point. Pop never laid a hand on us, but Pop never cusses. Nah. Never drank, never cussed, no nothing. Don't drink, don't smoke. So our dad's not the same, that's for sure. Yeah. So, but if Pop got animated enough that he laid out a cuss word, we run. Wow. Even if he said like piss, get off, get going. Wow. Get going. When I was younger, I remember my dad striking me in the face. Probably like 5th or 6th grade. It's for domestic violence episodes. Well, it makes a lot of sense. And when he did that, I remember my mom jumping all over him of like, what are you doing? But then 4 years later, 5 years later, she was okay with that. She was willing to take a shot. I gotta be honest. I think people should hit their kids. This comes from a man who has no kids. I will say when our kids grew up, we did not want to inflict corporal punishment in them, and so what we would flick the back of their hand. Come on, I have seen Mr. Paddle at your house. He lives in infamy. Yeah, that's right. He has a holder. No, we would flick the back of their hand. Up until they were 4 or 5, right? And it's funny because our kids, as they're older, as teenagers, whatever, they're like, about to get to 5 or 6, we realized it didn't help. Like, flick my hand. What are you talking about? Like that, like. Oh, that's dumb. Yeah, right. But when they would misbehave in public or whatever, we'd be like, hey, stop it off. Knock it off. Like, stop. And it was, right, as a 2 or 3-year-old, it was shocking enough to be like, that's the bad behavior. Yeah, weak, yes. Did you ever knuckle a dog's nose? Nope. Like you just. Nope. That's like, because the snout is so sensitive. They're like corrective behavior. It's just, you just. Okay. Some knuckle their nose, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't do that. I didn't like that. That behavior." Well, I used pressure points in public when they start to get hysterical, like this one up here. Like, I would squeeze that, and a pressure point is Valuable one to know.
No, so it was that one, or it was I grab the wrist, and you can do it right below, right, and you just freeze. And then you're like, this is not appropriate behavior. Mm-hmm. We are not doing this. I'm going to let go, and you're going to stop screaming and yelling.
I bet Amy hits her kids.
No comment.
I bet all three.
I love my niece and nephew. Arena and Sebastian are great kids.
I bet all three special military people that listen to this are like, oh no, he's on something with that Bishop Hand thing. It's incredible. Once you know how to do it, it releases.
Figure it. I'm gonna try to see me.
I'll show you after. I'll show you. Because it's also really unsuspecting, but then it's just like,
So Sinner and Saint moment. We're gonna tie this in real quick with Amy. Like I said, we were best friends.
Oh, I've got some Sinner moments for Amy.
Yeah, well, you should. She was she was my confidant. She was my friend until she was college, and then we grew a little bit distant. But we were good enough that she was going to sneak out with her boyfriend, and she made sure that I knew what the plan was, so that if mom and dad came to me, I could cover for her.
Oh, diabolical.
Yeah. I didn't have to. They didn't know until much later.
How many husbands did they have? 4?
I don't know.
7?
I don't know. What's a husband?
14.
What's a husband?
14.
And then, so that's my center moment. I covered it for my sister.
Yeah.
My saint moment, this is a core memory for me. When I was probably in 6th grade, we didn't have a dishwasher. We were the dishwashers.
Oh, that sucks.
That was a family chore that the kids had to do.
Don't kick the door shut, I'll tell you that.
She and I were washing dishes once. She was always the washer. I was always the dryer. And I remember her stopping in the middle of us just doing this. We weren't, as memory recalls, we weren't doing it. And she turns to me and she's like, "You're the ugliest person I've ever seen in my entire life." Core memory.
Sounds like Amy and I have something in common. Well played, Amy.
So that's a core memory into my narrative throughout the entirety of my life. Thank you, Amy, for the
wow.
Yeah.
I'll pivot off that with Sinner and Saint moments with my sister. She's the worst. So that's the big takeaway here. My sister and I did not get along growing up.
Yeah.
But that's also, I will say, that's 100% on me. Because my sister and my brother CJ, I did not get along with at all. And my brother Nick, I really got along with very well. And Nick did a good job of kind of like semi-shepherding me through the loss of our dad and stuff like that at a very young age. But just we were all dealing with family trauma in different ways. And so it makes sense looking back on it that like the familial dynamic really suffered because none of us knew what we were doing. We had no idea how to heal.
Yeah, right.
So like I never got along with my sister and my brother growing up. And I remember like I was the worst kid brother. I harassed my sister. Like her friend Brenda came over one day in high school after Brenda and Barbara. Boy,
oh, Barbara!
Twinsies. I think one of them's dead now. Maybe one of them rest in peace. Anyways, COVID got that one. Legit. Anyways, but like Brenda was going through a breakup, and they were on the porch listening to the radio, and the song "Angel" by Aerosmith came on, and that was her and her boyfriend's song. And I think that's the appropriate time to chew up those crackers and water and milk and go out and act like fake throw up all over the front porch. So there's this woman like crying, and I'm like, "Isn't that hilarious? Yeah, win!" And I was the worst kid brother ever. But my sister and I, we just never got along growing up because that was my Sinner moment where I was like, my job is to make her like miserable. Yeah. I once she had a wisdom teeth pulled, and she's from me to you away, and I took the thigh master. Thanks, Suzanne.
Yeah.
I realized if you tucked it against your chest and let go, it became a rocket. Oh, I hit my sister right in the face with that, like the day of wisdom teeth surgery. So now the saint moment is like we've become really good friends in our adult lives, and we're actually each other's secret keepers. So there are things my sister knows about me, nobody else knows.
Wow.
And like vice versa.
Okay.
And it's like there are things where she's like, I cannot tell anyone this, but I know you'll keep it, and I've got to tell someone. So will you keep it? And like we're just that person, and we meet a couple times a month at we live about a little over an hour away, and there's a Mexican restaurant about halfway, and we eat there for dinner a couple times a month. And we have just oddly found a really close relationship in our adult life through talking about like not every one of us really like or respect our mother, and so like we commiserate about that, but then also like the things that she's gone through a lot of like her individual family with her husband. And I mean, she's got real strong opinions about pigeons. So somebody's got to handle that.
As you do.
So it's been cool that in our adult lives, I never would have thought my sister would be a close friend of mine. And so
I'm fortunate. I have a very good relationship with my brother and sister. Amy, we'll enjoy this over a possibly mushroom pizza from Oakland or something. Next time I'm home. It's so good.
Hey, where are we at on time?
We're there. We gotta close it out. So
crap! I had one more question for you.
Oh, okay. Quickly, we're gonna go long. We'll go a little long.
I got asked this yesterday.
Okay.
So I have good friends who live next door to me. We've talked about it, and they've been traveling a lot over the past month. They've been to Europe twice, and then one of them had to go out of town for a work conference. I'm not a hugger. I don't like hugs.
I know. Yeah.
I don't want to be touched.
Experience
like,
that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was funny. I thought you wanted a hug when I came in today, and
I'll
give you one on the way out.
No, it's okay. It's over.
But so the wife was like, I feel like I haven't seen you in a month. Can I have a hug? And I was like, I'm coming off a really tough week where I've been pulled thin, and I don't want to see another human. And like, I almost didn't even go to their house for half an hour. Because I was like, I'm exhausted. Like, I'm at 5% battery. So I was like, can I Christian side hug you?
Oh, yeah.
Does it have to be the full-on hug?
Yeah.
And so their son was like, how many people have you hugged in the last 5 years? And I was like, I can count it up. And it was my parents and my siblings. And then only 5 more people, including my wife.
That's me. I'm in there.
And you're in there? So it was
awkwardly, but I'm in there.
Oddly enough, it was you, my wife, my neighbor.
Take that down.
My neighbor's wife. Yeah. You can't hold me. She can't hold me like you can. My neighbor, their kid one day asked me for a hug.
Oh.
And I was like, are you sick? He was like, no, I just like hugs. They're safe. And I was like, why? Why do you want to hug? And he was like, hugs
like, maybe not. Maybe I don't.
He's like, hugs are good. And I was like, if you like, I guess if you need a hug, I'll hug you. That's fine. But then even yesterday when his mom was like, can I have a hug? And I was like, yeah, I'll hug you. And I looked at him and I was like, you want a hug? He was like, yeah. I just spun his mom around and shoved her at him. I was like, here, she'll hug you. And our friend Deb, who was every time I see her, we hug. Yeah, that's it. I have hugged 10 people in the last 5 years.
Wow.
I have to think yours has to be well over 60.
In 5 years, that's a day.
Over 100? Oh. How many people have you hugged in the last 5 days? Mine was 5 years and I got to 10. Can you beat 10 in 5 days?
Not this last week, but on a normal season, that's how I greet. That's how people greet. Like they know.
They want that hug.
They know that's the way.
Humans are monsters.
Yeah, no.
Take that, Amy. Don't hug
people. And I love that space, so I'm okay. Hug it up. I'll just hug you there. We offended. Boy, I hope
people who like hugs.
Amy, I hope you loved it and hated it all in the same. Rick, sorry you got drug in there. Rick, RC Rick and Pigeon Farmer Rick.
He's not a pigeon farmer. He's a pigeon hobbyist.
Whatever. Yeah, that's maybe. Well, whatever. Your sister, what's her name? I know that. Yeah, her. Maybe Mr. Paddle. I don't know where you are, but I hope wherever you are that you're living your best life.
Shout out to Mr. Paddle. Shout out to Mr. Paddle. All the correctional devices that ever touched my skin.
Every parent, belt, fly swatter, random board, boot, foot.
Oh my gosh, the flying hands of an Irish banshee.
Also known as I like the Jackie Chan of the 80s.
You have no idea. Only the finest for Mrs. Ford's baby boy.
a gin and tonic to me. That is
Amy is a sour taste in my mouth.
The nastiest. When life offers the nastiest to you,
throw it up.
Boy, finish it and move on, and search for better things.
Oh, finish Amy and move on. Search for better sisters.
Amy,
Good night, Kim.
I hope, Amy, this satisfied everything that you wanted to.
It's not about me enough. Patrick, your podcast wasn't meant to be enough. To hit him in the face.
Hey, keep giving us the feedback and the follows. Share it with whoever you have in your network.
Well, with one exception, Amy, please don't tell anybody about this podcast. I don't think we came off real kind or loving, and you're gonna probably want to.
No, she'll think it's the best. She'll think it's the best because it's just about her. It doesn't matter good or bad. She's like,
all about Amy.
all news is good news. Thanks for tuning in to the Sinner Saint podcast.
Tell your friends.
We got a B-side launching this week for St. Patrick's Day. Check it out.